Okay, so Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. So today we're concluding the third river. Actually, we concluded it last week. I just wanted to touch over a couple of points before we moved on to the fourth river. So just to kind of summarize what we talked about the last 2 weeks in particular, there was this discussion on qada and qadar, which is fate, destiny, Allah's decree, Allah's power, and then there was also this discussion on jabr and ikhtiyar, right? Compulsion and freedom, free will, or freedom to choose. I think in sort of common knowledge, common discussions, these two tend to be equated to each other. And what I think I wanted to just kind of reemphasize is that they're not equal to each other. To believe in fate, destiny, and Allah's decree does not mean that as Muslims we believe in jabr, right? And so one of the things that makes this a little bit confusing, right? Because if you're saying that God creates all deeds, God destines for everything to happen, that kind of does imply some sort of jabr, right? But at the same time, God has created our will for us, right? And this confusion, as Mawlana Rumi says, is because we're relying on our aql alone to try to reconcile, and our aql, the same way that we can't see in front of us and behind us at the same time, or the same way that we can't listen to somebody talk and think about what they're saying at the same time. He says that he says that with the aql alone that you can't do this. Only what he says, a mard kamil, right, a complete human being who has reached the higher stages through the knowledge that Allah has given him. Only he or she can actually see and truly reconcile these differences. But really the point of Sheikh Kashifi from this whole discussion was not really a theological discussion in and of itself. He is really taking us on a journey, right, where we're going from this domain of plurality to this domain of unity. And he talks about the 4 stages of jabr that we ultimately all will go through. This first stage of jabr is what he calls jabr juz'i, right, or jabr of the parts, or plural, the plural jabr, right? This idea that all of the parts of this puzzle that we're in, that they're all forced to take the action that they are. He's saying that's Maulana Rumi is basically saying that's not true, right? This jabr of the ordinary people, right? That in itself is not true. The next, but for the one who's on the salik, right, who's on this journey towards fana fillah, annihilation in Allah, the next stage of his journey, he will reach the second stage of jabr, which is jabr tayaqqun, which stands for the jabr of yaqeen, or certainty. And that is when you come to the realization that there is oneness in actions, or tawheed if'ali. All actions and deeds are one, and they're created by Allah. And so even though we have the will to do good or evil, it's created by Allah in the end. Then you reach the third stage, which we talked about last week, which was Jabr Takhalluq, right? This belief that all of Allah's attributes are in essence one as well. And then from there you reach the highest stage, which is Jabr Kulli, where the Jabr itself, the Jabir, right, the one who is compulsing,
who is making it happen.
right, compelling, yes. And the majbur, right, the one who is being compelled, they all become one. And we talked about this hadith Qudsi, where Allah says, you know, when my servant continues to draw near me with the supererogatory deed until I love him, and when I love him, I am his hearing with which he hears, and his sight with which he sees, and his hand with which he strikes, and his foot with which he walks. So having said all of this, I'm actually, I wanted to quickly bring up a few couplets that Sheikh Kashifi didn't bring up, but they're related to this subject, and it's my favorite. I can read it 100 times and I still never get tired of it from the Mathnawi.
Brother Mary, can you put the previous slide just one more time? I was just trying to
Sure.
the one after this, the Hadith Qudsi one. This one, yes, that. 1 second. One
Sure.
second. I got it. Okay, thanks.
Sure.
Okay.
So, and mashallah, brother Mahdi, is this a website that you're on, Mathnawi.net? It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yes.
Very useful. So this is available to everyone. Beautiful.
Yeah. And it's all translated.
Yeah, and I saw there's Farsi, Farsi, English, Turkish, mashallah.
So this, you're gonna put that on the minutes or somehow. This is being recorded, so I'll see. Yes.
Yeah, I'll do that then. I'll find it. I'll put the link in. Please go ahead, brother Mahdi. I'm sorry to disturb.
Sure. So many scholars, they say that the first Jabri was actually Shaitan himself. And Mawlana Rumi describes this here, and he describes how both Shaitan and Adam, they made a mistake, right? And he's explaining the difference in view that each of them had, and how one ended up going down one path and the other ended up going down another path. So he said, Gof Shaitan ke bima aghwaytani kard fi'l khud nahan div dani. So it says, Shaitan said, he said to Allah, he said, Bima aghwaytani, right? That's the ayah from the Quran where Shaitan says to Allah, Bima aghwaytani la aghwiyannahum ajmain, right? So he says, the same way that you tricked me, right? You seduced me, I'm going to seduce all of your servants, right? Except those that are sincere. So then Mawlana Rumi, he's referring to this, and he says, Kard fi'l khud nahan. He concealed his own act. On div dani, that low devil. Right? So this again, Mawlana Rumi, we actually read these couplets 2 weeks ago, not this one, but what comes before this, where Mawlana Rumi is talking about how Allah creates all our deeds. He does, Allah does, and we do also, right? And so he's saying the devil, he concealed his own deed, right? And he only considered Allah's doing. Adam, on the other hand, right? Adam, he said, Goft Adam ke zalamna nafsana, u ze fi'l haq nabud ghafil shama. Adam, on the other hand, alayhi salam, he said, Zalamna nafsana, or in the ayah of the Quran says, Rabbana zalamna anfusana wa in lam taghfir lana wa tarhamna لَنَكُونَنَّ مِنَ الْخَاسِرِينَ, right? Or Prophet Adam, he said, "Oh Allah, we have done wrong unto ourselves, and if you do not forgive us and have mercy upon us, we will be among the losers." However, Mawlana Rumi, he says Prophet Adam said this. However, he was not, unaware of God's acting, right? As we are, right? So even though he took the full blame for it, he was not unaware that God's action was also in play as well. در گناه او از ادب پنهانش کرد، زان گناه بر خود زدن او بر بخورد. So out of respect and adab, politeness, right? He concealed the action of God out of his attempt to be polite and show respect to God. He concealed God's action, and zan gonah bar khud zadan u bar bkhorad. So by casting the sin upon himself, it's saying that he was able to eat from the fruit of Allah's blessing. بعد توبه گفتش ای آدم نه من آفریدم در تو آن جرم و محن. So then after Prophet Adam alayhi salam had repented, Allah asked him, he said, "Oh Adam, did I not create in you that sin, right? And those tribulations? Why did you not mention?" He's basically like asking him, why aren't you mentioning anything about that? You know that I'm the one who created all of this in the end. نه که تقدیر و قضای من بدان چون به وقت عذر کردی آن نهان. Was it not my taqdeer and qaza, my qada and qadar, my fate and destiny? Was it not that was that not involved, right? چون به وقت عذر کردی آن نهان. So why did you conceal that during the time when you were asking for forgiveness, or when you were excusing yourself? So then Prophet Adam's reply is very interesting. He said, گفت ترسیدم ادب نگذاشتم، گفت هم من پاس آنت داشتم. So he said, I was afraid that I would have been rude, right? I was afraid that I would have been disrespectful to you. And Allah replies to him, manam pase ham man pase anet dashtam. And I have rewarded you for that, right? For that adab.
No, I regarded that for you too. Pass, he kept that also. In other words, I also considered the same thing for you. Guft Haman pass on. I've also kept that thing in view of kind of a regard for you.
Guft Haman pass on it.
Pass on it. Of the same thing I have also observed. Although
interesting.
Toward the because pass rakhna means when you actually have kept that in your mind when you were making the discourse with the person. You realize that this is the tone that he has acquired, and I'm going to keep the same tone too. So that's what he's saying here. This is beautiful.
That makes sense, actually, what you're saying, because the next one says, Har ke arad hormat u hormat barad. So whoever brings respect gets respect.
Whosoever brings respect takes respect. Yes.
Right. Har ke arad qand luzine khorad. Whoever brings sugar eats almond cake.
Luzina. MashaAllah.
Yeah. So, over here, I think, Mawlana Rumi kind of sums the whole thing up.
But Mehdi, this is the first time I'm seeing something like this, but I cannot imagine where did Maulana Rumi get this idea. This is amazing explanation of the response of Adam versus Shaitan, and the words that he has used and the way he has presented Adam alayhi salam is amazing. And this is not in Al-Quran or any of the tafasir.
Right.
Maulana has taken his own imagination beyond anything that I could have thought about. MashaAllah, this is good.
Yeah.
So would it be right to say that upon receiving Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's qadr, the way you react to it decides your destiny?
Yes.
Because
exactly.
Accept it as such, realize that there's a hikmah behind it, and still like Brother Mehdi has mentioned, still that little part is still there, that you are still expected to continue knowing that there are certain actions that are still in your power, although destiny is there, but that freedom to choose, ikhtiyar has to be used in a very measured way, with the full conviction that this is only because of tawfiq from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that you're doing it. Yes.
Right. Because if you look at this, the story of Shaitan, the story of Prophet Adam alayhi salam. So even though Prophet Adam, he committed a
mistake,
right? Or I would call it a non-optimal deed. But at the same time, before Allah even created him, he told the angels, I'm going to be placing a Khalifa or a representative of mine on the earth. When the angels then replied, like, well, we praise you and glorify you, you're going to place somebody who yasfiku dima'a, wa yufsidu fil ard wa yasfiku dima'a, somebody who commits corruption and sheds blood. And Allah says, I know what you know not. So what I want to say is, though, ultimately Adam's alayhi salam's destiny was to go onto earth, right? So it was like, on the one hand, he was destined to commit that mistake.
Yes. He
was destined to commit it, and so that's where Allah's fate comes in. But he took responsibility for it and was polite about it. And so that's why he did go to earth, but at the same time he received the highest rank.
Actually, and the fact that these comparisons are made, one takes the same event and tries, by his knowledge and by his superior position, so to speak, tries to justify what he did, which was wrong. And the other one, because of mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, excuses himself and realizes that regardless of right or wrong, what he did was a mistake, and he tries to be humble about it.
Right.
So this is beautiful.
Right. Right. Adam, on the other hand, could have said, well, I was destined to go to earth anyway, so you shouldn't really blame me. Now, right? Had he had said that, so as my sister Shruti said, it's how you react to it, right?
Exactly.
What matters. So it was I think a really eye-opening set of couplets for me this last several weeks. But as Dr. Abdul Rahman mentioned, I think we can talk about this for another year.
Yes.
The subject of.
As a matter of fact, the total summary of our life's activities is contained in this particular. If you understand this, and you become a totally submissive to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's will in the right way, in the proper way, then you are at peace with yourself at every step in your life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Alhamdulillah. That's right. So that
I think,
concludes. Go ahead, please.
I think it was a display of a very good, one of the traits of good character, having good character, because he didn't want to get into an argument. And that is one of the signs of a good character. If you control yourself into getting any, like Shaitan wanted to argue.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is from the realization of your position versus Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's position. You may feel that in that argument you have power, and yet realize that overall you are nothing compared to the knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And with that comes this feeling that I better stay quiet because I definitely am not necessarily right. Yeah.
Okay. So maybe we can quickly start the next river.
Beautiful. Yes.
Right. That's the fourth river. It's on the subject of, the stages of knowledge and intellect. So the first rivulet is on the stages of, the stages of knowledge, and I'll read what Sheikh Kashifi says and translate it for all of you. He says that Tawzih maratib ilm. So an explanation of the levels of ilm or knowledge.
Stages.
The stages, yes, thank you. Yeah, please do help me, Doctor.
No, these different meanings can give a different sense. Yeah, go ahead.
و علم نزد عرفا منقسم می باشد به سه قسم. So and knowledge so for the Urafa, the Gnostics, knowledge is divided up into three parts. Ilm Shari'at, right, the knowledge of the Sharia, و آن علمی است که متعلق باشد بدو تکمیل هیئت بدنیه از افعال و اقوال و لوازم اینها از حسن و کمال. So the first category is the knowledge of the Sharia, which is the knowledge dedicated to the proper use of the parts of all of the parts of the body, the actions, the deeds, and what is required upon these to reach husn and kamal, right, to reach goodness,
beauty and excellence.
Thank you. Beauty and excellence. Sorry, ilm tariqat. So the next category is the knowledge of the tariqa. و آن علمی است که تعلق دارد به تکمیل صفات نفسانیه و روحانیه از جهت تجلی و تخلق با اخلاق الهی. So the knowledge of the tariqa is that knowledge which is dedicated to making perfect the صفات نفسانیه و روحانیه. So the spiritual, so making the spiritual qualities and attributes of oneself perfect, right? In essence, the purification of the spirit and the soul. As جهت تجلی و تخلق با اخلاق الهی. So to make perfect and in line with the akhlaq, with the akhlaq ilahi. How would you translate that, Doctor?
Attributes, divine attributes.
Divine attributes. Thank you.
Because you cannot say character because that's divine. So you have to say, akhlaq does mean character, but you can't say that. Yeah,
exactly. And then the third is ilm haqiqat, va ilm haqiqat va on ma'rifat haqq ast. So the knowledge of haqiqa is having the ma'rifa or knowledge of Allah, va shanakht asma, and the knowledge of the name.
Identification of his names.
Thank you.
Shanakht. Mhm.
His names va sifat, his attributes va haqa'iq on, and the truth of them.
And their realities, yes.
Their realities.
Mhm.
Va betaqsim digar. And so he's saying another way to divide knowledge, so or ilm. Va betaqsim digar ilm sino ast. So there's three types. There's another way to classify knowledge and that also has three parts. So another type of classification. Ya ilmist hasil shode betakalluf va kasb va an ra ilm rasmi va kasbi guyand. So the first type of knowledge is knowledge that one attains through learning, through striving, through hard work, and so that is formal ilm rasmi, so formal knowledge.
Not for that's the traditional.
Traditional. Thank you. Yeah.
Mhm.
You're right. That's a better way to translate it.
Yeah.
Vakasbi, so acquired knowledge. گویند و یا علمی است پدید آمده از جهت مشاهده و عیان، نه به استدلال و برهان، و آن را علم کشفی و ذوقی خوانند. So the second type of knowledge is the spiritual knowledge, علم کشفی و ذوقی. So the kashf means like discovery. So it's more like knowledge that you discover and uncover the truths. It's knowledge that comes from mushahada, right? The witnessing, va'ayan, and seeing, and it doesn't come from istidlal. It doesn't come from reasoning and the intellect, right? So this second type of knowledge is what he's saying that it doesn't come from intellect and reasoning. It comes from
observation, direct observation.
Yeah. So or over here, it Gnostic knowledge.
Yes. Okay.
So then the okay, and then the third type, vaya elmist bi ta'allum va takalluf hafil gashte و آن را علم وهبی و لدنی خوانند که از نزدیک پروردگار است بی واسطه مخلوق. So the third type of ilm is ilm ladunni or ilm wahabi. So knowledge that Allah gives to a person directly. And that only comes from nearness to Allah, with no intermediary in between the person and Allah. And then he says, Kama qala Allahu Ta'ala, he cites this ayah from the Quran, وَعَلَّمْنَاهُ مِنْ لَدُنَّا عِلْمًا, and we taught him from our own ilm. So this is, I think, which Nabi was this referring to? Was this Nabi Yusuf alayhi salam?
May have been the Khidr story, but I'm not sure.
Khidr. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
You're right. You're absolutely right. و هر یک از این علوم ایمایی خواهد رفت. And each one of these types of knowledge, imai khahad raf. What does imai, Dr. Abdul Rahman?
Let me see. I don't know. Ima. Okay, keep reading and we'll come to it.
Yeah. بدان که علم جوهری عزیز و دانش نقدی نفیس است و بیان شریف علم در حد حصر نیاید و چون آن آلت تحصیل مقاصد است پس به برکت آن مقصود آخرت باید حاصل کرد و اغراض دنیوی برطرف باید نهاد. So here he's saying that okay, so بدان که علم جوهری عزیز و so know that knowledge is a jewel, right? Is a precious jewel, and extremely valuable thing for you. And to و بیان شرف علم در حد حصر نیاید, and we cannot. It is not in our power and our ability to explain the full sharaf of ilm, right? The true level or the true value of it is not something that we are capable of.
Extent of it, yeah.
Right, yeah, the extent of it.
Yeah.
و چون آن آلت تحصیل مقاصد است پس به برکت آن مقصود آخرت باید حاصل کرد. So he's saying because it is a tool for the path, right? For traveling the path, to get the full barakah of it, right? The full goodness of it, or
with that blessings of that.
Yeah.
Maqsood akhirat bayat, because we want to achieve success in the hereafter.
In the hereafter, yes. و اغراض دنیوی برطرف باید نهاد. And so we should put aside worldly goals with it. و البته علم باید مددکار احوال آخرت باشد، نه وسیله اموال دنیا. So here he says knowledge should be something to help us receive, the best state in our afterlife, right, as opposed to only being a tool for
worldly resources.
Right. Yeah, worldly resources. بدانی که علم باقی است, and know that ilm, knowledge, is everlasting. و مال فانی, and wealth is transient, right?
Wealth
short lasting.
Yeah, okay. Is perishable.
Perishable, thank you.
Okay.
و باقی را به فانی عوض کردن کار عاقل نیست. And exchanging what is baqi for fani, right? Exchanging what is everlasting for that which is perishable is not a wise thing to do.
Yeah.
كما قال أمير المؤمنين علي كرم الله وجهه. So as Imam Ali has said, so he cites this poem from Imam Ali, where he says, رضينا قسمة الجبار فينا لنا علم وللجهال مال. So we are contented, right? We are happy and contented with what Al-Jabbar, which is one of the names of Allah, which we're content with what Allah has given to us. Lana ilm, we possess knowledge, and lil-a'da, our enemies, or lil-jahal,
ignorance. Yeah.
They have wealth.
Yes.
فإن المال يفني عن قريب وإن العلم باق لا يزال. For indeed, the wealth perishes. وإن العلم باق لا يزال. And knowledge is everlasting. Is important.
Right. It remains, and it's never ending.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So then over here, Mawlana Rumi says, خاتم ملک سلیمان است علم، جمله عالم صورت و جان است علم، علم دریایی است بی حد و کنار طالب علم است غواص بهار.
Mm.
So knowledge is the seal of the kingdom of Solomon, of Suleiman. جمله عالم صورت و جمله عالم صورت و جان است علم. So the whole universe is knowledge و جان است علم, and the spirit is knowledge. The spirit of the universe is knowledge. علم دریایی است بی حد و کنار طالب علم است غواص بهار. So the universe is an ocean that is limitless, without any bounds. The one who seeks knowledge is a diver in those seas, right? Like a scuba diver.
Right.
گر هزاران سال باشد عمر او نگردد سیر خود از جستجو. So even if that person, even if he has 1,000 years,
He lives 1,000 years.
sorry, yes, thank you. Even if he lives 1,000 years, he will not. His hunger in search of knowledge will never be
Satiated. Never be satiated.
کان رسول حق بگفت اندر بیان این که منهومان هما لا یشبعان. So the Prophet of Allah said that there are two greedy ones, right? Who will never be satiated. They'll never be satisfied.
Yes.
طالب الدنیا و توفیراتها طالب العلم و تدبیراتها. So the seeker of the dunya and its rewards or its opportunities and the abundant opportunities and the seeker of knowledge and its rewards. معنی حدیث
And its methods of acquisition, probably tadbir.
Thank you.
How to seek knowledge.
He
will continue to find new ways to progress in seeking knowledge. Talibul ilm wa tadbiratiha.
Beautiful. معنی حدیث این است که دو گرسنه‌اند که هرگز سیر نشوند. So the meaning of the hadith is that there are two hungry people that'll never be satiated. طالب مال و طالب کننده علم. The one who seeks wealth and the one who seeks knowledge. از اینجا معلوم می شود که این علم غیر علم دنیاست. So he said, from here, it's clear that the knowledge that is being referred to here is not worldly knowledge. زیرا که علم دنیا هم دنیا باشد. So the reason why he says it's clear that this is not worldly knowledge, this knowledge that Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is referring to, is because worldly knowledge is also part of the dunya. و بر آن تقدیر این قسمت درست نبود. چه قسمتین باید که مباین یکدیگر باشند. So he's saying this type of classification is not valid because if you're going to divide things into parts, those parts should be different from each other, right? So you can't, if you're talking about, if worldly knowledge is also included, well, then that means these two parts overlap with each other.
Right.
So then he cites this poem, these words of Mawlana Rumi. He says, پس در این قسمت چو بگماری نظر غیر دنیا باشد این علم ای پسر. غیر دنیا پس چه باشد آخرت کت کند زینجا و باشد رهبرت. So پس در این قسمت چو بگماری نظر. Now when you fix your attention on this division, you will see غیر دنیا باشد این علم ای پسر. You will see that this knowledge is not worldly knowledge. A pesar, O son.
Mhm.
So
Oh, my
interesting.
son.
Yeah, over here it says, "Oh father."
Not
so
that. Yeah. Mm.
I read in the Mathnawi itself, it actually says a pedar. Interestingly, so, so I'm not sure if Sheikh
The
Rashid,
typographical errors in writing, people can do it, but that's what Rumi said. A pesar is correct.
Pesar to me makes more sense,
Oh,
right?
yes. You always talk. Listen, son.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Yes.
غیر دنیا پس چه باشد آخرت. So he's asking, so what then is the غیر dunya, right?
Other than the world.
Yes. What is other than the world? آخرت.
Eternity.
The next world, right?
Yeah.
کت کند زینجا و باشد رهبرت. The knowledge of which کت کند, which will take you, which will pull you away from here, and will be your guide.
Yes.
علم آن باشد که جان زنده کند، مرد را باقی و پاینده کند. So
this is the essence of the entire lessons. Give it a minute. Ilm aun bashad ke jaan zinda kunad.
Yes.
Go ahead.
So knowledge is that which makes the spirit alive.
Alive, gives life to your spirit, inner being. Gives life. Actually, zinda kunad is actually, it was a dead thing and you brought it into life.
Right.
Your spirit becomes alive. That is the knowledge. Good.
Right. مرد را باقی و پاینده کند. It makes man باقی, everlasting.
No, everlasting is payanda. Baki.
باقی.
To stay forever and
Right.
be eternal.
Right.
So Baki is the opposite of fani.
Right.
One perishable, the other that never perishes. That's Baki.
Right. Thank you. So it makes man, non-perishable,
and eternal,
everlasting, eternal.
Ilm aun bashad ke jaan zinda kunad, mardra baki o painda kunad. Beautiful.
So the next part is actually a hikayat. It's 7:27 already. I don't know if you want me to.
No, we don't. We really have to get the input from people. I think this is where the essence is. Yeah. I'm sure we have got quite a bit today. Let's see what people, if they can contribute a little bit.
Sure.
Into the understanding, that will be great. By the way, you did a great job today on really taking your time and giving the details of this. We have to internalize it.
Yes, no, mashallah, this is beautiful. Thank you, Brother Mahdi. It was very nice. And the conceptual slide and very, very good, mashallah. I mean, I have one thought that came to mind as you all were speaking, is the distinction between responsibility and action, in the sense that, one can be responsible for things that he or she is not the doer of, right? So we all know this in life, right? That like in management, for instance, if you have colleagues, you have a team, and somebody does something and you're responsible, you still are, you are responsible for it. So I think the idea, that term of responsibility, is the important one, and we are mas'ul, right? This is, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, وَلَا يُسَلُوا لَا يُسَلُوا أَمَّا يَفْعَلُوا وَهُمْ يُسْأَلُونَ. That God is not asked about what he does, whereas they are responsible. They are asked about what they do. So that's the essence. For me, that's an important point, is that, regardless of the theological questions behind it, the responsibility for our deeds lies with us.
Good. That's a good side point.
Beautiful. Thank you. Beautiful.
Brother Mahdi, this if you have, I'm sure you have treasure of references. if you just in one page, sometime if you have a minute, I'm asking too much, do that about Jabr and Ikhtiyar and stuff that we finished, if you have it, and give a nice summary of that. Because what we might do is sometime in future, have a full seminar on that particular topic, because, you know, a few of us that are on this call may have benefited from it, but this is something that belongs to community at large.
Yes.
Somewhere, if we print a magazine or if we have a seminar, that particular summary of yours might come on very handy.
Absolutely. No, I think that's a great idea to make a Cliff Notes version.
Yeah, if you could do that, because you are the resource for it, mashallah.
Yeah. Yes, you know, I was very touched on the chat group, mashallah, to see our dear Imam Adienka referring to the videos, going back to the videos to take points and insights. That's a beautiful thing. So even though, you know, we're 6 in this group, but the people who refer back to it and draw from this is larger.
Yes,
I agree. I agree. No, I'll definitely do that and send it out in the chat group. Yeah, I think that'll be useful. Yeah. How about Sister Shruti, Sister Hala? Do you have thoughts?
I think we pretty much covered everything today, thanks to you. The only thing is, I think we'll elaborate more on the Sharia, the Tariqa, and the Haqiqa, the 3 different kinds of knowledge next time, where as everything else that is worldly stays here, so does the worldly knowledge. But this, with the experience of the spiritual knowledge, or the knowledge, the Haqiqa, as it is said, when you gain that knowledge through your actions and taking responsibilities, like Brother Amir mentioned, you gain much more, not just in this world, but also in the hereafter.
Beautiful. You see, let me give an example of that. If I give you a book and say, read this page, and you learn from that, that's ilm sharia.
Yes.
Then if I give you a box and a key and put that book in there, and you only know where you put that book and the box, and you have the key, that is ilm tariqa that you got not by yourself, but I gave that to you. Okay. Now, the third one is, if you put that away, bury it, and whosoever buries it later on takes it out and gives it to you, that in this case, the example has to be a little bit difficult, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala directly gives you a certain knowledge. That is called the third one, the haqiqa. Then you know the reality. And that is given to you not through a means, but directly. Okay, so the person who finally had that possession, that box that I gave you with the key, if he takes it out and gives it all to you, then you have actually physically received it from that person. It could be your grandfather who is passing something on to you as inheritance. So he gives it to you directly. That is something you got as a haqiqa. You know exactly what's in the box, how much money is in there, and who's given to you. Beautiful, full knowledge. But the previous one was, he gave you a page and you just read it yourself, and you kind of imagined what it could be and what it is and all that. Sharia was the one who guided you, gave you the key, and you know where it is buried. And the third one like that. So it's, you learn something on your own from the books, that is the worldly knowledge. Then somebody comes and tells you, you know what, so and so place is such and such, and he gives you pictures of it and shows you whatever else, and you have never been there, but you have learned it from him. So that is given to you by an intermediary. And the third one, somebody just takes you over there and you look at it, just like what happened to our beloved prophet at Mi'raj. He saw those things directly, and then he was, of course, beneficiary of direct knowledge of Haqiqa. So that's how it is.
So basically the knowledge that we acquire through the resources provided to us by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is something of a Sharia and a Tariqa, whereas Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bestowing that knowledge upon us himself is the Haqiqah.
Exactly. But the first two you have mixed together. First knowledge is that you get indirectly
Yes.
on your own effort from the books and wherever else. That you're
Yes.
getting directly. That is the Sharia. Because somebody wrote the laws and you learning the laws. That's the other one is Tariqa, which is actually they are instructing you. You know, come here, learn this, do this experiment, that experiment. Now you're getting the teachers teaching you. And the third one is whosoever wrote it, it finally shows you, here it is.
Yes.
We can expand on these on our own ways, but this basically is a simplified way. And Mawlana has done a great job, Kashifi, in putting it together.
Beautiful.
All right, so we did pretty good in 1 hour, mashallah, brother Mahdi.
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Jazakallah khair. So shall we
Please
conclude with a dua? Would you or Brother Amer or would somebody like to?
Go ahead, Dad, please.
Okay. Bismillah. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina wa Mawlana Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa barak wa sallam. Wa Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we strive on your path. We try to do the best we can to equip ourselves with the knowledge and wisdom that you have bestowed upon us so that we can benefit your creation. Oh Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, give us the vision, ability, courage, and comprehension so we can discharge our responsibilities. Oh Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we are mindful of the fact that our beloved Prophet in his final khutbah gave us this responsibility that we have received this knowledge from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through him, that we are supposed to pass it on to his creation, to others that were not present at that time. We seek the ability from you so that we can discharge that responsibility with honor and with the sense of responsibility. Oh Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, forgive us for any shortcomings that we have, and with your mercy and with your grace, cover our sins and our shortcomings and lead us on the right path. Sallallahu ta'ala ala khairi khalqi Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in bi rahmatika ya arhamar rahimin. To your mercy we forward all of this, O you who are the most kind and most forgiving. Ameen.
Thank you so much.
Inshallah, till we meet again.
Inshallah.
Allah Hafiz. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Alaikum.
Have a nice week.